Shalom, shalom, and welcome. Welcome to White Rose family. My name is Symmanayah, and these are the words I am compelled to present before an awakening set-apart nation. Yashar'al, commonly known by some as Israel or Yisrael, and I am speaking to a set-apart nation of the children of Yahuah, not a geographic location. This is the 61st installment to White Rose family, and I want to bring your attention to the words deliverance from twisted necks. Deliverance from twisted necks. And I want to open by asking a series of questions and making some comments. Have you ever overslept? Have you ever been late to work and missed getting to work on time? Have you ever missed a bus, a train, or plane, or cruise? Have you ever missed an opportunity, a sale? Have you ever fallen short to reaching the desired mark or goal as it relates to time? If you've experienced this, think of the worst case scenario where you was late or you missed an opportunity, and how did you feel? My brothers and sisters, end times are here, and make no mistake, every minute will count. There will be some that will miss the journey because of disregard to time and reverence to the call from the Almighty Father. There will be those who will miss the mark due to unbelief. End times will bring movement, my brothers and sisters. But there is something that widely disrespects the order of service as it relates to a sense of urgency during these end times. And I consider it the twisted neck syndrome. But before I go further, let me read the following before getting into this segment. Warning and disclaimer: the information contained in White Rose family represent instructions and warnings to individuals who believe they are drawn by the Almighty Creator Yahuah to Yahusha Mashyach. The content presented centers around end-time realities. Please be advised, this site is not intended for children under 16 years of age due to its content. This clause is put in there to be compliant with the media platforms that are used. By continuing forward, you agree to hold Symmanayah harmless of any influence or actions that arise as a result of watching, listening, and reviewing the content presented. The views expressed do not reflect the owners, management, and or shareholders of this media platform. Please note, I am not affiliated with anyone or organization with similar names. With that said, O Yashar'al, let's get into this matter of twisted necks. My brothers and sisters, make no mistake, this does not come with sarcasm. And please forgive me if any hint of sarcasm come. We are in an era of end times that require our most sincere focus and attention to what the Spirit of Yahusha is saying to us. Make no mistake, this warning has weight. It is a warning regarding looking back. You see, my brothers and sisters, to turn my head, whether to the left, to the right, or look all the way back, it takes time. And if I begin to do a lot of talk, if I begin to bring a lot of focus on looking back, even if I bring more attention to history opposed to what is being said now and going forward, I may find myself stepping into an arena of disobedience. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, the Most High promises discipline and refinement. There are more days ahead of us, those that are His, those who are recipients of everlasting life, than there are behind us. There is so much work ahead of us, O Yashar'al. Phenomenal work that must and that will be done. Let me read the following. Regarding looking back, my brothers and sisters, this is just an excerpt of Exodus chapter 16, verse 1 through 4. And they set out from Elim, and all the congregations of the children of Yashar'al came to the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second new moon after their going out of the land of Mitzrayim. Some translation will say Egypt. And all the congregation of the children of Yashar'al grumbled against Moshe and Aharon in the wilderness. And the children of Yashar'al said to them, if only we had died by the hand of Yahuah in the land of Mitzrayim, when we sat by the pots of meat, and we ate bread to satisfaction. For you have brought us out into this wilderness to put all the assembly to death with hunger. And Yahuah said to Moshe, see, I am raining bread from the heavens for you, and the people shall go out and gather a day's portion every day in order to try them, whether they walk in my Torah or not. As I stated, my brothers and sisters, this is just an excerpt. An excerpt of the children of Yashar'al grumbling. There was a lot of grumbling. There was a lot of things that went on when they left Egypt or Mitzrayim. Even when they complained and grumbled about food and water. Even when they became impatient and they built a golden calf, looking back on the idols of Mitzrayim, thinking they needed an idol while they were in the wilderness. My brothers and sisters, looking back is dangerous. It not only consumes time, it leads to some things that will be most regrettable. And if you search the scriptures, you will discover that out of the grumblings and rebellion and the fighting and the complaining, that there was a generation that did not make it to the promised land. Mashyach, Moses himself, did not make it to the promised land. They were so busy grumbling and constantly looking back that there were a generation that did not make it to the promised land. This was Yashar'al looking back. Consider someone else who looked back. Lot's wife. In Genesis 19, 24 to 26, it says, and Yahuah rained sulfur and fire on the Sodom and Gomorrah from Yahuah out of the heavens. So he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the cities what grew on the ground. But his wife looked back from behind him and she became a post of salt. My brothers and sisters, there was massive deaths, children, adults, male and female, killed at the hand of the Almighty Father when he destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. The flesh can be so wicked, it truly war against the spirit. Curiosity can war against the spirit. Whatever emotions, whatever erupted in Lot's wife resulted in her looking back, and she became a post of salt with no rewind, no second chance, no opportunity to get it over, to do it over. Yashar'al, my brothers and sisters, twisted necks can be dangerous. Let me also read Luke 9:62. Here Yahusha is quoted. But Yahusha said to him, no one having put his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the reign of the Almighty One. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al. My brothers and sisters, twisted necks. In order to get deliverance from twisted necks, there must be belief. We must utilize our eyes and ears. We must recognize set-apart influence. We must identify the influences that are not set apart and purge them from among us. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, twisted necks. I've seen as end times ramp up, among Yashar'al and among many different beliefs. I have witnessed individuals talk about how many hours of scriptural Bible study that they have, how many times they have told you so regarding end times, how many times they have given advice on what is unfolding. There have been many constantly spending more time talking about, some even say how many people they've led to this awakening. Make no mistake, my brothers and sisters, those who go around tooting their own horn for self-gratulations, self-gratitude, those who use wicked statements to say, well, I'm only doing this to let you know where I've come from. This is my testimony. When someone constantly tell you their history, is it theirs? Or is it a historical event where the Spirit of Yahuah prevailed? Or was it something out of flesh that prevailed? Twisted necks, trying to get you to look back on yesterday, constantly looking back on yesterday and what I told you shoulda, woulda have done if you would have only listened to me. Twisted necks, my brothers and sisters. It's time for us to realize there's so much ahead of us. It's time for us to consecrate ourselves before the Almighty Father in the name of Yahusha, and begin to discern what he is saying now. The clock is ticking. The days are being shortened. Movement has begun for many. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, what say you regarding belief? Do you believe that you'll be able to navigate the coming days without belief? Do you believe that you will be able to see clearly what must be done and what is asked of you? Let alone see and witness the evidence of Yahuwah's promises unfolding before our very eyes. Do you believe your ears are clear enough to hear? Or are we caught by the weights and strongholds that causes our neck to be twisted to one direction or the other, or looking even back and turning around? Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, the Most High promised discipline, and part of that discipline will be to set our focus straight ahead. You see, because looking back, there will be massive death. Deaths have begun in the shadows of famine and diseases that are ramping up. Not just COVID-19, but all the other diseases. Add them all up, my brothers and sisters. The weights of disease are enlarging. Deaths are enlarging. Add the deaths to coronavirus to the diseases that already exist, such as cancer, diabetes, heart conditions, multiple sclerosis, Ebola. Add them all up, measles. And I say to you, O Yashar'al, these can bring about weights that cause us to mourn, that cause us even some to fall into depression because lost loved ones have passed. Deliverance from twisted necks is important. I could have clearly said the need to focus ahead is critical. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, there must be actions that begin with belief. Allow me. Once again, my brothers and sisters, I bring to your attention the need to believe. My brothers and sisters, do you believe? Do you believe end times are here? Do you believe end times are ramping up? What say you, O Yashar'al? I asked the question on various occasions. Most recently, I've asked the question of, are you satisfied with the instructions that you're receiving from your leaders, your mores, your teachers, your pastors, your elders, your bishops, those who claim to be prophets? Are you satisfied with what they're telling you? And if this is the best they can do, What do you think they will do when things really ramp up? Are you satisfied? The time is now to ask yourself, should I continue on with this person, this community head, this fellowship head, this pastor, this moray, this teacher, this bishop? Or should I focus and see what direction the Most High is pointing me to move, to come away from such? Hebrews 11:1 saying, belief is the substance of what is expected, the proof of what is not seen. There are watchmen, there are prophets, there are set apart ones who are obedient to the Almighty Father, that are speaking on things that are not seen yet, but evidence and proof will emerge. Let us begin with understanding the importance of belief, my brothers and sisters. Hebrews 11:6 let us know without belief it's impossible to please him, the Almighty Father. For he who comes to the Almighty One has to believe that he is and that he is a rewarder of those who earnestly seek him. Are we not seeking rewards? Rewards that may not be nothing more than directing us to a place of safety, to know where we should go, what we should do, how we should handle the things that are coming before us. My brothers and sisters, deliverance from twisted necks. We must understand the ability to see and how to focus and know the importance of seeing. Consider these words sincerely, O Yashar'al. Proverbs 1:23. Proverbs 1:23. Turn at my reproof. See, I pour out my spirit on you. I make my words known to you. Do we see the reproof? Are we yielding to correction as we are disciplined and refined? Do we see his spirit being poured out on us? Is he making his words known to us, O Yashar'al? Let us believe, let us see spiritually and physically the directions in which the Most High would have us go. In the name of Yahusha, I say to you, O Yashar'al, consider the weight of these words, the life in these words. Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 3. Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 3. I searched in my heart how to stimulate my body with wine while guiding my heart with wisdom, and how to lay hold on folly until I could see what was good for the sons of men to do under the heavens all the days of their lives. Until I could see what was good. We must see what is happening, O Yashar'al, and recognize the need to establish a ready mind, to embrace a sense of urgency. Luke chapter 4, 18 and 19. Luke chapter 4, verse 18 and 19 says, the Spirit of Yahuah is upon me because he has anointed me to bring the good news to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to proclaim release to the captives and recovery of sight to the blind, to send away crushed ones with a release, to proclaim the acceptable year of Yahuah. My brothers and sisters, the anointing that flowed from the Spirit of Yahuah, it proved to bring sight to the blind. And I say to you, even in the literal sense of the word, where the physical became, where one was blind, they could see physically. I submit to you, he also brought spiritual sight to those that were spiritually blind. We who were spiritually blind, our eyes have been opened in more ways than many. Sight, my brothers and sisters, we must be able to see. So let us know how to focus and position our focus keenly in the direction in which the Most High. Otherwise, we can find ourselves encompassed with grief, pain, depression about what happened yesterday or minutes ago or last week. Some of us may be in the process of burying, making funeral arrangements for a loved one. Do not be overtaken by your grief. And I'm not making light of what happened, my brothers and sisters. I am merely saying, be mindful of the time and how much energy is necessary to focus on what the Most High has for you, me, for us, as we press into these severe end times. Knowing how to listen is important. Listening is critical. Discerning the voice of the Spirit of Yahuah in the name of Yahusha is most critical, O Yashar'al. For there will be times some of us will be detached and may not be around or able to reach the one that we thought or we looked up to as a leader. They may face physical death. They may be removed because there are obstacles, not providing the instructions that the Most High would have us have. In the name of Yahusha, my brothers and sisters, let us know the importance of listening, of hearing. Let me read 2 verses. Matthew 13:9 said, he who has ears to hear, let him hear. Do you believe the Most High would give us ears to hear and have us not utilize what he's equipped us with? I think not. I believe not. He has given us ears and we are called to listen, to hear his words, O Yashar'al. James 2:5 say, listen, my beloved brothers. Has the Almighty One not chosen the poor of this world, rich in belief, and heirs of the reign, which he promised to those who love him? I cannot stress enough, O Yashar'al. Some of you might say, well, this is simple. This is easy. I know about listening. But are we exercising the discipline of belief? Are we exercising the discipline of obedience to come away from twisted necks? Are we spending too much time talking about yesterday or what I told you? And you should have listened to me. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, there is much work ahead of us. My brothers and sisters, begin asking questions, examining all things. Discernment is defined by receiving what is revealed, what is uncovered by the Almighty Father in Yahusha's name. And discipline is a requirement that brings about the obedience to keep our focus forward, our eyelids looking straight. This is a strategy. This is an order to prevent being overwhelmed by the grief and pain that is about to ramp up. O Yashar'al. Consider these words, my brothers and sisters, as I continue. Many individuals fail to recognize how discipline is important. Consider Revelation 3:19. As many as I love, I reprove and discipline. So be ardent and repent. Hebrews 12:5-6 saying, you have forgotten the appeal which speaks to you as sons. My son, do not despise the discipline of Yahuah, nor faint when you are reproved by him. For whom Yahuah loves, he disciplines and flogs every son whom he receives. We must ask ourselves, my brothers and sisters, when a brother, a sister, when one is being used by the Almighty Father and saying, come on, we must move and press forward. When one said, we must step away from this land, from this city, this state, right now. Don't worry about burying your mother, your brother, your sister, your father, your nephew, your uncle, your grandmother. Don't worry about that. Leave it alone. We must move now. Those times are coming, O Yashar'al. And it's going to require discipline to raise our head up and focus and step into the things that are unfolding before our very eyes. Pray, O Yashar'al. Again, I am not making light of anyone who has lost a loved one or about to lose a loved one. But the reality of what is before us will prove to be sincere and come with some heavy demands, but there will be deliverance from twisted necks. Hebrews 12:11 saying, indeed, no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but grievous, but afterward it yields the peaceable fruit of righteousness to those who have been trained by it. I speak on discipline a lot, my brothers and sisters. It is important for us to recognize Discipline is a requirement. Discipline is a necessity. Yashar'al, or Yashar'al. If you read in the 4th chapter of John, you will see where Yahusha discerned the woman at the well, and he told her of her marital situation, how many husbands she's had, and who she's with now. I put a passage up there if you want to know what I'm talking about, John 4:16 through 18. But let me read Philippians 1:8 through 11. For it reads, for the Almighty One is my witness, how I long for you all with the affection of Yahusha Messiah. And this I pray, that your love might extend more and more in knowledge and all discernment, for you to examine the matters that differ, in order to be sincere and not stumbling into the day of Messiah, being filled with the fruit of righteousness through Yahusha Messiah, to the esteem and praise of the Almighty Father. My brothers and sisters, discernment is critical. Do not fall for the textbook, the academics' definition of discernment. True discernment is when the Spirit of Yahuah reveals, uncover, make known, O Yashar'al. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al. What say you? Deliverance from twisted necks. I want to challenge you as you go before anyone teaching, preaching. Next time, estimate how much time they're speaking on things that happened yesterday, last week. How much time that they're spending on talking about what they told you should have done. How much time is being spent on the past versus on what must be done going forward. My brothers and sisters, knowing how to focus. Sure, we are always curious and want to hear a story. What happened over your house yesterday? What happened over that house? Or what happened with this person or that person? Come away from the gossip. Come away from the twisted neck. Anything that causes our focus and attention to turn away from stepping into what is happening now, my brothers and sisters, may prove to be a detriment. Yashar'al is awakening. And there are those who are spending more time on trying to create movies telling you that you are Hebrew or Abrahym. There are more people spending time trying to rehash how we were treated during slavery times than focusing on what must be done now and going forward. I'm not saying forget about our history, for the scriptures alone are history. But let us understand the discipline that is necessary, what we must pay attention to as it relates to history, as a tutor, a big brother, a big sister, as a learning tool. Know when to step away when it becomes more of an entertainment, something to just satisfy tingling ears. Knowing how to focus is critical, and you will find the comfort that you desire in all the calamities, chaos that is about to unfold. A sense of calm, a sense of urgency, a sense of comfort. All of these can be experienced by focusing forward, one moment at a time, day by day. Deliverance from twisted necks, it comes by the hand of the Almighty Father. Let me read you the following, my brothers and sisters, for I believe it is critical. Proverbs 4:23 through 27 says, watch over your heart with all diligence, for out of it are the sources of life. Turn away from you a crooked mouth, and put perverse lips far from you. Let me pause for a minute, my brothers and sisters. Notice how I say turn away from a crooked mouth and put perverse lips far from you. Are you aware that a lot of the crooked mouths and perverse lips come from gossip, talking about things of yesteryear, yesterday, last night? You see, if our focus is off, then we want to talk about narratives and talk about a story and talk about what happened. Yes, there are things that are told for examples, and there are things that are mere entertainment to gossip. Let me continue. Proverbs 4:25 through 27. Let your eyes look forward and your eyelids look straight before you. Consider the path of your feet, and all your ways are established. Do not turn to the right or left. Turn your foot away from evil. My brothers and sisters, heed these words. Meditate on these words, for as ever a time there were to know why we must begin looking forward and understand the power and might that comes when we pray, especially praying without ceasing. Who is aware of 1 Thessalonians 5:16-18? It reads, rejoice always, pray without ceasing, in all circumstances give thanks, for this is the desire of the Almighty One and Messiah Yahusha for you. Yashar'al, pray without ceasing, is communicating with the Almighty Father. To pray without ceasing is not only speaking to him, it's discerning his words to us. It also means communicating, listening and discerning his words as he speaks through others, to us, as we speak to one another, as we subject ourselves one towards another, as the Spirit uses us. For we are the house of Yahuah. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al. As end times ramp up, we will see mostly everyone on this planet will deal with guilt, depression, and as for the set-apart children of Yahuah, we will in some cases face self-condemnation. The weights of stumbling and fall can drag us down, will cause some to go astray. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, hear these words. The importance of knowing how to move beyond guilt, depression, or self-condemnation will come. Consider these words, O Yashar'al. Matthew 24:22 said, and if those days were not shortened, no flesh would be saved. But for the sake of the chosen one, those days shall be shortened. Shortened, O Yashar'al. Consider that in movement from the far west to the promised land takes you from one time zone to another. This represents shortening of days. Now you might say, well, what does that have to do with move beyond guilt, depression, and self-condemnation? Movement, my brothers and sisters. If we're busy crying, if we're busy wallowing in guilt, if we're busy sitting in our homes, our cars, our tents, sitting somewhere wallowing in guilt, depression, or self-condemnation, we may miss out on the times and schedules that the Almighty Father has for us. We may disregard that days are shortened, that a sense of urgency is necessary. Yashar'al, Yashar'al, hear these words. Deliverance from twisted necks. My brothers and sisters, it's time to identify set-apart functional plans. Yes, there are plans unfolding as I speak. Plans that I present as well as others that will link up. And there are plans that conflict and are totally opposite. We must learn how to vet, examine, and discern what the Spirit of Yahuah is saying to us and step into set-apart functioning plans. My brothers and sisters, what you see highlighted here are just bullet points of a plan to look forward to seeing unfold. I am compelled to believe that the Almighty Father will indeed build up set-apart team of leaders, proven to be vetted, examined, proven to be chosen by the Spirit of Abba Yahuah in Yahusha's name. I'm compelled to believe that there will be the development of information and resource central points where Yashar'al can get answers to questions natural and practical and spiritual as it relates to these end times. I'm compelled to believe there will be a team built, and teams are being built with diverse skill sets, and will begin to mentor the young, the unlearned, the undiscerning. We will begin to recognize the favor that we've received and the skill sets, the educations that we receive, and the experiences that we receive, whether it be traditional or non, as it relates and connect to set apart nation building. We will begin to see full utilization of our time as we come away from twisted necks. Each of us are finding favor in receiving a heartbeat and breath for a reason. Let us learn to utilize that. A plan to purchase land in Virginia, where I believe will be the exit point for those in the Western Hemisphere that will venture back to the promised land when mass migration begin. The gathering will come to be in the Western Hemisphere, and I state that often. And it is merely an exit point. A plan to identify safe support zones. Wouldn't you want to know if you're moving from the West Coast or from the farthest of the East and you're moving west towards the promised land? Wouldn't you desire to know how to identify when to stop at a safe point, a safe zone, freshen up, fuel up, rest up? White Rose family, I believe that such information will become made available in the coming of days to provide support for completing this journey, to provide guidance for the life, the inner court life of the set-apart family, to provide instructions, teachings, and fellowship as we find ourselves waiting for the return, the physical return of Yahusha Mashyach. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al. With any plan, there are costs. Let us count the costs. Let us use what has been given to us or prepare to lose it. Remember Matthew 25:14 through 30. Yashar'al, my brothers and sisters, if I am saying anything that remotely resembles life, anything that pushes you to Yahuah, the Almighty One, the Most High Father, in the name of Yahusha, consider sharing these words. Consider sharing this channel. Consider subscribing. I need your help, O Yashar'al. And I request and call out to you. But my comfort come in knowing Isaiah 55:11 will hold true. That all words of life that come from the Almighty Father, that his words will not return to him void nor empty. And I ask you, O Yashar'al, where do you stand? I won't spend more time on this slide. Move as you believe you are guided, O Yashar'al. As I bring this 61st installment to an end, deliverance from twisted necks. Focus, O Yashar'al. Focus and discern those that are given instructions that are relative to pressing into these end times. It's time to come away from entertainment, business as usual, church as usual. It's time to come away from the individuals who are spending more time trying to prop themselves up as prophets, priests, or kings, or trying to prop their own identity by saying you should have listened to me. It's time to identify those that are feeding you living bread, living water that makes you strong as an individual in Yahusha Mashyach, as an individual who can come together strong with another person and together strong. Oh Yashar'al, together we focus, we endure, we endeavor into the things that we are called and charged to do, that we are ordered by the Almighty Father to do. The 144,000 Hebrews that are commonly referenced as Hebrews, Abrahym, along with a great multitude from diverse nations with different tongues, Hebrews and Gentiles who seek to do the will of the Almighty Father, who are drawn by the Almighty Father to Yahusha Mashyach. We will rise, we will emerge, we will fulfill what is written. Pray, O Yashar'al, deliverance from twisted necks will unfold as we recognize the discipline and yield to reproof and correction, as we begin to let loose the weights and the shackles that will cause our curiosity to constantly try to move our head in one direction or the next. Focus, my brothers and sisters. Strengthen up. Evidence comes as it relates to the need to step into deliverance from twisted necks. Regardless of what someone did yesterday or yesteryear, what is that person doing now? What instructions is that person giving you now? What words are that person giving you now as it relates to now and going forward? What words are you giving as it relates to now and going forward? Do not be overtaken with all the different weights that will cause our necks to be twisted. Pray, O Yashar'al. Take one step at a time. Take one day, one moment at a time. End times are here. Make no mistake. Deliverance come from twisted necks. On that note, O Yashar'al, I salute you for all that you pursue that is set apart, for seeking to do the will of the Almighty Father, for your love and desire to learn and grow strong for such a time as this. I say to you, be encouraged. Our redemption draws near. Until next time, Shalom.